When you have a fiberglass repair on your boat that goes through the non-skid and the smooth areas, there's a lot of different ways you can go about fixing it. You saw in the first part how I got it sprayed, but it was a little too white, so what I like to do with a big batch like this is take out about an ounce of gel and make that super yellow, so I can add it instead of straight pigment and risk going too far. But once it looked good, I went ahead and added wax and then some styrene to thin it, and now I'm ready to spray it out of this cheap gun. It takes some practice to get it the right viscosity, but once you do, you want to lay it down in smooth and even passes on the boat. Play with your material volume and the air pressure on a scrap piece to get a pattern you're comfortable with, but the more time you spend here on getting it sprayed nicely, the easier time you'll have sanding later on down the line. Yeah, it's going to be grainy like this when you first spray it, and I'm not saying it should be completely flat by the time it dries, but it'll shrink into a tighter pattern as it does, and depending on what additives you use in the gel, that can help make it even smoother. Now I'm going to hit it with some dry guide coat, as I often do here, even though you could use something else like a smeared in Sharpie or even just a pencil. But this just really helps me see the low spots and gives me some more confidence that I won't burn through when I'm wet sanding. I pretty much always start with 400, and if you watch closely, you'll see the black divots start to go away. And so at the point when the first layer of guide coat is about 95% gone or so, I'll switch it up and go to 600 grit sandpaper. This step works really nice to get all of the 400 grit scratches out, and once I do a good few minutes of sanding, I like to stop, dry everything off, and then do another layer of guide coat before I resume wet sanding with 800 grit. It has to be dried so the guide coat will stay on, but at this point you should only see minor scratches and maybe a little bit of orange peel shown by the guide coat. Not much else though. I usually stop at 800 grit for white gel, but you can keep sanding up to 1000 or even 1500 grit if you're looking for the best possible finish. I use 3M Super Duty compound when I buff, and I usually have to buff it multiple times to get it to shine really nice. And often I'll hit it with some cleaner wax at the end just for good measure. Now to answer Bro's question about the textured part, we got pretty lucky here since it was a sandy non-skid pattern, which is usually one of the easiest patterns to match. So I started by taping off the area that needed skid. It's hard to blend it into the existing pattern, so I always opt to spray the whole area if I can. I'm sanding it to scratch it and get a good mechanical bond with the new gel coat, and I'm leaving most of the existing skid. Mixing a new batch can be tricky, but my advice for the non-skid particles is to start with a little bit and then add more if you need so that you don't put too much out. You can also brush or roll this on, but today I'm going to shoot it out of a gun because you can get a really good finish this way. You have to thin the gel in the same way you would if you were to spray it regularly, and make sure you don't have a tip smaller than like 1.5 or you'll run the risk of it not coming out right. To spray it on there, you just want to do some smooth, even passes, just like any time you're shooting gel. Once you feel like you have good coverage all the way around, especially on the edges near the tape because you'll be able to tell if it's light, you can go ahead and pull it and then see your final result. If you like longer videos like this, let me know in the comments.